most recently that maybe the one in the worst shape was upgraded to stable or something like that, which is just fabulous news. But we've got to make sure that, when anything like this happens, we come together as a community and figure out how to stop these absolute monsters running around killing each other, killing us, killing friends, killing neighbors, killing each other. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin,
so thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate you taking some time this morning to talk to us. Again, that was Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin. We do want to point out, in this case, no arrests have been made at this point, as 17 people were shot inside a club in Little Rock. Donna, we're kind of going to go back to the beginning here and walk through exactly what happened and what we know that's happened.
Yeah, and I think it's time for us to do this. It's 8:21. We've been on air since 7 this morning, and so just for you who may be just now joining us, we are reporting on a mass shooting that happened at the Power Ultra Lounge in downtown Little Rock. It's located at 220 West 6th Street. 17 people were shot, 17 people taken to hospitals, 3 in Little Rock, 1 in North Little Rock. There was 1 person in critical. That person's condition has been upgraded. There were no deaths. Chief Buckner spoke with us earlier today. He said that police got the initial call around 2:30 this morning, and that's when they sent a dispatch. The youngest victim, we are told, is 16 years old. This, by the way, is not connected to terrorism. A lot of people, that's one of the first things that come to mind. There was a group that was performing at the Power Ultra Lounge last night. The group called Finesse 2 Times. And we have several times, and we'll probably do this again. Well, there you have it there. That is the Twitter page of Finesse 2 Times. You see him there holding a gun and also smoking. This group is out of Memphis, Tennessee. We are hearing that this may have been a rivalry that was brought here out of Memphis, Tennessee, that has not been confirmed yet. Our city manager, Bruce Moore, gave us a statement not long ago. We're going to pull it up here on the screen. I do have it on my phone, but we'll pull it up on the screen. Well, why don't I just grab it from my phone here? He says, "I am truly saddened by what happened this morning. I am praying for the victims. I am very confident that LRPD will make multiple arrests in this incident. This will not be tolerated in our city. In addition, we are making multiple arrests in the incidents from the 10 days. I want to talk to our reporter, Charmaine Nero. I saw Charmaine when I was in the newsroom right before we went on at 7 o'clock, and she said a friend of hers had actually invited her to Power Ultra Lounge last night, and she declined to go, not because she knew something was going to happen, but she just didn't go. So, Charmaine, what can you tell us about Power Ultra Lounge? I'm assuming you've been there before.
Yes, I actually was out in that area last night and saw inside a lot of people starting to gather outside of that nightclub, and immediately went to a different area closer to the River Market area with a couple of friends. But from what I hear, it's normally a place that a lot of Little Rock people go to. They have a couple of events there. Normally, from what I've seen, it's a pretty safe environment. So I was actually able to talk to someone who messaged us on our Facebook page, and he wasn't at the event, but he had friends that were there, and he continued to say that a lot of what he believes, of course this is not confirmed right now, but this witness or this gentleman who tells me that people who were there and witnessed were saying that this was something that may have been brought from Memphis. It may have been something that maybe didn't have anything to do with the people here, and that's according to the gentleman that I spoke to. He also implied that maybe some of the music that may have sparked some kind of rivalry of some sort, maybe a particular song to be exact, but that's just what I'm hearing from one person who has close people who were there at the Power nightclub.
Well, you know what, that's very good information. I'm glad you were able to share that with us, because a high-ranking city official actually had sent me some information saying that this could very well have been a rivalry from Memphis. and nothing to do with Little Rock. It just happened to be in Little Rock. There's going to be a 3 p.m. news conference. We were told it was going to happen this evening, or this afternoon, but I am being told right now the news conference should be at 3 o'clock this evening or this afternoon. So we will hear more information, but that was very good information that you shared with us. Let's go now to Jonathan Roselle, who was at UAMS, where many of the victims were taken. In fact, Jonathan, I wrote down here, you said 9 of the shooting victims were actually taken to UAMS, 9 out of the 17.
Absolutely right, Donna. UAMS officials tell me that 9 of the shooting victims are being cared for here at UAMS right now. I actually just got off the phone with Children's Hospital, another hospital that Little Rock police say some of the victims were taken. They say that they're actually going over their information now and will let me know an exact number within the next 30 minutes or so we'll know exactly how many were taken there. We do know that some families are inside of there. I've seen people go in and out. I've also talked to officials right now. They don't know exactly the condition, the injuries these 9 shooting victims here at UMS have suffered at this point right now. Again, we're going to work to get the information for you, but right now I'll send it back to you in studio there.
Okay, all right, we do appreciate that. Thank you. We have been hearing from many city officials as well as state officials who are commenting on this, and many of whom are saying this is just something that doesn't happen here. Yeah, we've been having a lot of shootings. We've been reporting on a lot of shootings, and you know, Fox 16 and KRK are combined in terms of our efforts with our Victory Over Violence, trying to help cut out some of the violence that's been happening in the city. It seems to continue to happen. I know a lot of people are certainly brokenhearted by a lot of the violence that's happening, and hoping that we can eventually cut some of this out. The Reverend Benny Johnson just sent something with Stop the Violence. He just called to say all of his prayers are going out to the victims. That is the Reverend Benny Johnson. Many of you are familiar with him. He has certainly been a soldier in terms of someone who's been trying to stop the violence in Little Rock for many years. And again, he says all of his thoughts and prayers are going out to the victims.
Well, Donna, as we continue to kind of say these words, for me, it's still difficult. You know, growing up here, again, I mentioned an hour ago, I was born at Baptist Hospital, and this shooting is minutes away from Baptist Hospital, 17 people shot. This is the website for the club. That website is powerlr.com. I want to run down here to the information on the concert that was last night. Finesse 2 Times, the name of the rapper, the rapping group, live at Power Ultra Lounge. Started at 10 p.m., was slated to wrap up at 2 a.m. We know the shooting call came in about 2:30. Price McKeon has been live for us all morning long at that club right now. Price, walk us through again what you heard happen as folks who are just now waking up, just now turning on the TV, having their coffee at 8:30 on a Saturday morning.
Let me break it down for you. The shooting happened around 2:30 this morning. We had crews out here. I was out here around 3:30, within an hour out here. And we are right in downtown Little Rock. We are in the heart of downtown Little Rock. And I'm going to step out while I give you these details so you can kind of see investigators as they are collecting evidence here. So police say that this concert that was taking place at the Power Ultra Lounge around 2:30, there was the concert. It was a group performing from Memphis, and some type of dispute broke out, and that's when gunfire erupted. Police say that 17 people were hit by bullets. They said more people were even injured because as people were trying to exit, people were getting injuries from everyone just trying to rush out of this club that's right there. You can even see broken windows. There looks like an awning that we don't know why, but there's an awning that's messed up there. Police say that they have people went to 3 to 4 different hospitals all around Little Rock, even one victim showing up at a North Little Rock hospital. police. The chief was here, and Chief Buckner with Little Rock Police Department did tell us that this is not terror related. They do not believe this was an active shooter situation, but what he does call it is an alarming and very, very disturbing situation. We talked with that chief when he was giving this press conference, and I asked him, we've been covering all these stories about recently drive-by shootings that have been happening all around Little Rock and the Little Rock area in the past week and a half, and we asked him if those shootings may have anything to do with this, what happened here at this club. He said that it's just too early to tell. They're not connecting things at this point, and in fact, he said, you know, they really felt like they were getting warrants out. They were searching, they were making arrests, they were going after people for these drive-by shootings. They said something like this that happens at this club behind us is something that's just a blimp that that they didn't need right now. So again, 17 people were injured by bullets early this morning. Investigators are still out here. They're combing through the evidence. Streets are shut down around here, and we're right across from a church, and people are starting to show up for a funeral that's going to happen in less than 2 hours. So people are out here and trying to get more information about when these streets are going to open. I'm going to go try to talk with police and get some more information that I can give to you guys about when traffic will be back up, how people are doing. Police also, I want to point out, police did say that they don't have any suspects right now. They don't have a vehicle description to give us. In fact, they didn't even have an exact number of victims, including gunfire and people that got injured when they were trying to exit. So we're going to try to get all that information for you.
Price McKeon reporting live at the scene. Price, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Kind of walk you through exactly where this is right now. Here's an overview of downtown Little Rock. Going to switch it over to map view. This is kind of the eagle eye view, if you will. Here's the Power Ultra Lounge. Again, this is Broadway here, Interstate 30 here. So right in the middle of downtown Little Rock is where this shooting happened. 17 people shot, sent to 4 area hospitals. At the Power Ultra Lounge is where this shooting happened. Now, I just got a text from the governor's spokesperson. Governor Asa Hutchinson is being told about this right now. We're working to get a statement from him, maybe get him on the phone to talk to us about what has happened. As far as the mayor of the city of Little Rock, the capital city mayor, Mark Stodola, talked to us moments ago. Here is what he had to say about the mass shooting here in Little Rock.
We've got detectives, we got police officers working all the time trying to figure out how we can interrupt this cycle of totally unacceptable conduct. And so whether it's working at from a standpoint of youth activities that we spend millions of dollars on trying to prevent these kinds of things from happening, or whether it's putting street people who've been in trouble before, who understand the consequence of it, and having them talk to young people about the fact that this is not the road they want to go down. We are working it just multifaceted ways. I'm working on trying to lay out for the public here shortly all of the various kinds of things that the city is doing to try and stop the violence.
Well, you know, Mayor, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but some of these things I am aware of. I know you've hired some people who, one of whom had been in prison for 30-something years, familiar with gangs, who's trying to do a little outreach to get the gang members to put down their guns. We also reported a few weeks ago that 2 suspects who were taken off the street, who were involved in the little Ramiah Reed killing, that that would supposedly put an end to some of the gun violence. But I'll be honest with you, and this is as a reporter here that reports on this day in and day out, it seems to me that the gun violence has escalated instead of going down.
Well, we're doing everything we can. You know, I'm hopeful. We had about 3 weeks there or so where it seemed that things were subsiding. Again, you're right. The drive-bys this last 10 days have seemed to go up, and I wish I could stop speeding bullets. I really do. I wish other people could do that. We've got to have the community come forward to help us investigate and solve these crimes, and it's a collective community effort, and we have to continue to work very, very hard on it, which is what we're doing.
Hearing from the mayor of Little Rock with his statement with what happened overnight at Power Ultra Lounge, as well as shootings that have happened throughout the city of Little Rock. We just got a statement in from Sherman Tate. He is the board chair of the local Urban League, and he says, we are saddened by this shooting. We as a community must work together to effectively address and increase the increasing number of violent crimes. As part of this effort, we must discuss ways and means of getting guns off the streets. Having laws that allow people to carry guns any and everywhere must be revisited. Again, that from Sherman Tate, board chair of the Urban League in Little Rock. Also, Kathy Webb, the vice mayor of the city of Little Rock, also released a statement a little bit earlier. I believe we have that on the screen as well. We have a phoner. We actually have her on the phone. I apologize for that. Hello, Vice Mayor.
Good morning.
It's good to have you here. Your thoughts on what happened with 17 people being shot at the Power Ultra Lounge nightclub overnight?
Well, I mean, of course, my first thoughts are with the victims, and you know, it's very sad way to wake up and see that. It's very sad for the victims, for the families, for the city, and I think that we can't let this define who we are. We just can't. And as some others have stated, I think part of it is we've got to get guns. We've got to get more guns off the street. It's not just having more police. It's having hope. It's having a society that says it's not okay to solve any dispute with violence. And it's fighting against the message that that's okay.
You know, Vice Mayor, certainly, and I believe a lot of people would agree with you. You know, when you talk about the issues of guns and getting them off the streets and that sort of thing, you hear a lot of people talk about gun rights and that sort of thing. It's kind of a catch-22. I hear a lot of people saying we've got to get the guns off the street, but how do we get the guns off the street?
Well, and that is a good question, and I think, and I believe in gun rights too. I think getting guns off the street through changing some of the laws that were passed by the legislature is one way to start that. I think the problem is much deeper than guns. I think it's despair. I think it's hopelessness, and I think it's a society that's saying it's okay to to respond with a gun to anything that happens. So, you know, it's deeper than that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It is an effort. A lot of people certainly, as you know, you would know better than many of us who are reporting on it, being that you're on the inside, are trying very hard to curb this kind of violence, and it just seems to be escalating. I know, as you probably do, and we're hearing this over and over again, that this particular shooting last night may have stemmed from a beef out of Memphis that was brought to the city of Little Rock. Is that correct?
I mean, that's what we're hearing. I couldn't make a definitive statement on that, but that's certainly what we're hearing. You know, there was another incident a week or so ago with another situation that was brought to Little Rock from another place too. But regardless of where it comes from, it's still something that we as a city and as a people have to deal with.
Well, you're right about that, and it affects all of us. Vice Mayor Kathy Webb, I want to thank you so much for being on the phone with us and discussing this. It's shocking to wake up to. Wouldn't you say, Aaron? Yeah, shocking. I described it as a sinking feeling this morning when I got the call that a mass shooting happened inside my home city. It is being described as a mass shooting, but we do want to point out that there are no links to terrorism. Very important to note here. There are no terror links. Police believe this is actually rival groups out of Memphis is what we are hearing at this time. So it is a mass shooting, but no links to terrorism. Very important. If you're waking up this morning, 17 people have been shot. They have been sent to 4 area hospitals, the youngest victim being 16. Some others could have been injured as they were trampled going out.
very quickly, if you are waking up and you're turning on the TV, you might go to social media. That's where we're getting a lot of information. And I want to urge you this morning to follow KARK and Fox 16 on social media. We have several different reporters out in the field right now. Jonathan Roselle is working on this. Charmaine Narrow is working on this. Price McKeon is working on this. These are the different reporters that we have in different locations around our city working on more information right now. And social media is vital to us. So I'm going to urge you guys out there, if you are waking up and finding out that 17 people have been shot and you want more information, go to social media. I also posted a statement from Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin, who we had on this broadcast just a few minutes ago, about 15 minutes ago. He is shocked by this because it's not in a faraway place. He says, quote, "It is right here, downtown, in our home, in the community we know and love." And Donna, that's exactly, I think, the moment where a lot of folks here in Little Rock are waking up and realizing it is here.
It is
This
here.
is not a drive-by shooting that we've seen several, and that's too many over the last few days. This is a mass shooting that has happened right here at our home.
You know, and it's something about saying mass shooting that
It's
just
tough,
really
yeah.
affects you. And I mean, you know, and maybe we become somewhat desensitized. You know, we say drive-by shooting, we say multiple people were shot, but when you say mass shooting, there's something about that that's so disturbing. This is the nightclub where it happened. Listen. Now, I don't know if you were able to count how many shots were fired. They were happening rapidly, as you could tell there. They were happening rapidly. We have been saying somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30 shots fired. They were rapid.
This is a statement that was just sent in from Jessica Deloche, which is our political spokesperson. Warwick Sabin, this is his district. This is his area that he covers. He says, legislator, Representative Warwick Sabin, prayers for victims of last night's gun attack and thanks to first responders who saved lives. That's a great point that we haven't brought up.
You know,
the first responders who were there quickly, who were able to get these victims to the hospitals they needed to get to. Warwick Sabin says thanks to those, we need to work together to end violence in our city. And I know you want to respond to that, but that's a great point.
Let me expand on that because I was just getting to that. I had received a text message. Warwick Sabin, State Representative, District 33, as you said, that is his district, and it's actually a much longer statement. My thoughts and prayers this morning are for the victims of last night's gun attack, and thanks to all of the first responders, as you just heard, who evidently saved many lives. This is something very important that he said too. No matter where you live, work, or socialize, your safety and security should never be in doubt. We need to come together to mount a stronger effort to end violence in our city, and that is certainly well said. We are hearing from a number of city officials, state officials who are really touched by this. City Manager Bruce Moore said earlier, "I am truly saddened by what happened this morning. I am praying for the victims. I am very confident that LRPD will make multiple arrests in this incident. This is not to be tolerated in our city. In addition, we are making multiple arrests in the incidents from 10 days ago. And those, by the way, that's what we refer to when we talk about the drive-by shootings. Fox 16 and KARK have been reporting over the last 9 or 8 days, each night, another drive-by, sometimes multiple drive-bys in one day. There is going to be a 3 o'clock news conference, and I'm sure they will address a lot of this. Now, the group that was at Power Ultra Lounge last night, this is the group. I don't know if it's one person or several, but it's called Finesse 2 Times. That's the name of the group. Out of Memphis, Tennessee, Finesse 2 Times. And look at what he is holding in his hand. I will say no more. I will just let that sink in. Anyway, 17 people shot last night. Some people hurt because they were trampled trying to get out of there. We've been showing you the video over and over again. You can see for yourself, you can hear the number of shots fired, somewhere between 20 and 30. We really tried to count, but they were happening so rapidly, it was kind of hard to just kind of wrap your head around
Well,
it.
and as you look at that video, and if we can play that one more time, we were asking whether or not it was actually return fire, because there's a pause in that. But here's the video. Listen. It's hard to listen to. You hear that there is a pause there, whether or not it's an actual pause, reloading, another gun. There's a lot of questions there.
Aaron.
But at the end of the day, it's still staggering. 70
Aaron,
people were hit.
I'm so glad we listened and really listened closely to that, because there is that pause. But there's also, if you listen to that again, and maybe we can play it again, there is a point where you hear a gunshot, and then there's a gunshot before the next gunshot. It sounds to me, and
Here it is again.
let's listen. That pause that you refer to, right after that pause, there is a point where it sounds like there's more than one gun.
I tend to agree with that.
You tend to agree with that.
The more I listen to it, and again, look, when we sat down this morning, when we got the call this morning, we are flooded with information. Donna, you can confirm this. What we're doing right now, we are getting this information, and as we get it, as we listen to this, as we hear more things, we're bringing it to you. You guys are almost on the forefront of what is happening right now. But as you listen to that, it sounds like to me two different guns.
Sounds like two different, at least two different guns.
And it may have been three different shooting situations in that 30 seconds, meaning, again, this is speculation, and I hate to do that, but we're listening to it as we hear it.
We're listening to it as we're hearing it, and there's going to be a 3 o'clock news conference today. Police can probably clarify some of those things. I want to send you now to Marcus Eubanks. Marcus is one of our photographers, and he is at which hospital? He's at one of the hospitals. He's at Baptist Hospital. Marcus, what can you tell us?
Hi, Donna, and hi,
Aaron.
Aaron. Well, I'm out here on the scene and at Baptist Hospital, and from what I was able to gather at this point, I spoke to some gentlemen who were actually supposed to be in attendance last night. They chose not to because of the violence that has been going on in Little Rock. But from what they were able to tell me is that one of their friends was there at the club last night, ended up getting shot in the back. Now, most of the evening he was on stage with the band, but he was as the shooting occurred or started, he started to try to run, and he was shot in his back. Now, from their accounts and talking to other people that they knew, you guys were absolutely correct. There was more than one gunman at that at the nightclub at Power Ultra Lounge last night. So right now, all the details obviously aren't in, but that's what I have right now at this point here at Baptist Hospital.
Marcus
Eubanks.
Marcus, are you still there? How
I am.
many of the victims were transported there to Baptist? Do you know that information?
I'm not sure of that information at this time, Aaron. But what I do know is I'm standing here looking at 4 individuals who are, thinking about their friend that's inside right now, who was actually shot in the back.
And they are the ones that relayed the information that there was more than one gunman?
Yes.
Okay.
There was some. One of the gentlemen that I actually spoke with said that this morning he woke up to several missed calls, and the sister came by his house looking for him because she actually thought he had gone to the show with the gentleman that's in surgery right now. And once he found out, he made his way up here to the hospital to see about his friend.
Marcus, I don't know if they were able to tell you any of this, but we've had several city and state officials tell us that this could very well have been a rivalry among groups out of Memphis and not necessarily Little Rock. Was your friend able to comment at all on that aspect?
At this point, no.
Okay.
But what he did say is that not necessarily that he was afraid for his life, because he's not even from Little Rock himself. He's from Conway. But he said, you know, just with the level of violence that has been happening in the community here in Little Rock, he just didn't feel comfortable going to that event last night.
Well, that's very interesting. That tells us a little bit in terms of at least one perspective in terms of that particular event. You don't know how many people were sent to Baptist, but we do know that 9 of the shooting victims are at UAMS. I'm being told Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin has a soundbite. We want to play that. We want to hear what our Lieutenant Governor has to say about last night's shooting where 17 people were shot.
There are a lot of things I think that could be done that we could talk about at a later time. I think a lot of the policies that people pursue and are not the right ones, and there are better ones. It doesn't mean you can stop it. You know, it doesn't mean you can stop it all, but there are things we can do to make things better. But we'll talk about that at another time.
That's a great point. Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin joining us. As 17 people have been shot in downtown Little Rock. I guess, Lieutenant Governor, moving forward, we're going to get more information on this. And of course, I know you have a message for those who may have been injured and the families of those who are now maybe at the hospital, as 3 to 4 area hospitals are taking in these victims. What would your message be to those who have been shot and those who have been injured in this shooting and their family members?
Well, first of all, you know, unless it's happened to us, all we can do is imagine what they're going through, and I totally get that. But you know, we as a community have to wrap our arms around those people and do whatever we can to help them heal physically and mentally and every other way. You know, these are folks, think about it, these are not folks that knew they were going into a dangerous situation, right? They weren't, you know, they weren't going into a war zone and overseas in the military or something. These are people, as I think was the subject of the call before, who went out to enjoy the city, right? I mean, that's to relax, to listen to music, you know, whatever they were doing. This was not anywhere near the forefront of their mind, and within a split second, it all changes because of just ridiculous, senseless violence. And you know, we have a lot of different reasons we don't need to get into, but our thoughts and prayers with these folks, and you know, I don't know the status of everybody. I saw most recently that maybe the one in the worst shape was upgraded to stable or something like that, which is just fabulous news. But we've got to make sure that, you know, when anything like this happens, we come together as a community and figure out how to stop these absolute monsters running around killing each other, killing us, killing friends, killing neighbors, killing each other. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin there. And one thing that I got from that, Donna, was his thought process that these were people who were going to have a good time. They didn't expect, they didn't deserve, they didn't have any of this on their mind when they sat down to listen to this group, to relax. To me, again, it's one of those sobering moments. I described it as sinking. You say it's shocking. 17 people in Little Rock shot at a nightclub. I'm texting right now with the spokesperson for the governor's office. Governor Asa Hutchinson is calling in to us right now. As soon as we get him on the phone, we're going to bring him right here live on Fox 16, live on KARK4, as we have partnered up to cover this mass shooting. It is what it is. Pointed out no terrorism in this case. They have ruled that out.
No, this very well could be a rival gang out of Memphis, but yet to be determined. There will be a news conference later today where we will certainly get more information. We do have a statement from the board chair of the Urban League, Sherman Tate. He says, "We are saddened by this shooting. We as a community must work together to effectively address the increasing number of violent crimes. As part of this effort, we must discuss ways and means of getting guns off the streets. Having laws that allow people to carry guns any and everywhere must be revisited." And that's a very interesting statement, because as we spoke with our Vice Mayor, Kathy Webb, on the phone just moments ago, I was talking with her, and she said something very, very similar in terms of getting guns off the street. My question to that is, how do you do that? Because a lot of people talk about getting guns off the streets. It's one of the absolute most controversial issues you can talk about when you talk about guns. But she said that the legislature needs to go back and just kind of look at all of these. This is a statement from Kathy Webb before we actually spoke with her on the phone. Again, this is our Vice Mayor. Prayers for victims of mass shooting in our city, for first responders, and for all who are committed to work to end violence at City of Little Rock. We've heard from a number of people this morning, city officials as well as state officials who are affected by this, and I'm sure you at home are affected by it. One of the things that I was really touched by, Warwick Sabin, one of our state representatives, he said, you know, this is all of our city. I mean, this belongs to all of us. So whether it's in this neighborhood, this district, this part of the town, whatever the case, we all live here and it affects all of us.
All right, so it is 8:57. If you're just turning on your TV to KARK4 or Fox 16, you're hearing some possibly shocking news. 17 people have been shot in Little Rock at a nightclub. Here is video from inside that nightclub about 2:30 this morning when shots rang out.
Let's listen. And one of the things we've been able to figure out after listening to that several times and playing it for you at home is there was more than one gun involved. We want to go to Price McKeon. She's actually at Power Ultra Lounge where this took place last night in the wee morning hours. Price.
That's right, Donna. This shooting happened around 2:30 this morning. We were out here. I was out here around just about an hour later, around 3:30, talking with police. We talked with the Little Rock police chief out here this morning. But first, I want to show you what's going on right now. This is the scene. Crime scene investigators have been out here this entire time. We've watched as they've marked evidence, then they've taken the evidence away, then they've taken the markers away. What we know from police, though, at least 17 people were hit by bullets inside this club that you're looking at right now. You can see that windows are shattered, and windows are shattered not just on this one side of the building, but they're also on the other side. Police also said more than 17 people were injured, though. They said that some people got injured when they were trying to leave that building. They could not give me exact numbers at this point because they are still trying to figure out exactly how many victims and how many people were hurt. They did say that they do not believe this is terror related. They also said that they do not believe this was an active shooter scene. They said what they believe happened was there was a group from Memphis that was in town for a concert inside this club behind me. And they said some type of dispute, they believe, broke out, and that's when the gunfire erupted. Now, Little Rock, the fire department, they just got on scene, and I found out from some officers, just checking in with them to find out why the fire department just got here. They told me that the fire department is here assisting police officers inside that club with some type of equipment. That's all the information that I know. But if you see the police lights out here, there's now the fire lights out here. One other thing I want to mention is when we talked with the chief, he said that this mass shooting, and I quote, he said, is alarming and very, very disturbing. So clearly it was something that he says that the city does not need right now and never needs anything like this, especially since we've been covering over the last week, we've been covering nearly 10 drive-by shootings just a little over a week. So he says that at this point they don't believe it's connected to this, but this is something that they have pretty much all hands on deck trying to figure out who shot these guns, how many victims there are. We're working to find out from them exactly those numbers, and we'll get that to you as soon as we have them.
Okay, well, we do know that 17 people, according to police, 17 people were shot. Some people were hurt. Well, were shot. Some people were hurt because they were trampled trying to get out of the facility. Jonathan Roselle is at UAMS, where 9 victims were taken. Jonathan?
Absolutely right, Donna. 9 victims, I'm told by UAMS officials, being cared for here at UAMS here. Right now, we're working to get information on their exact injuries, what sustained injuries they sustained. We do know that one victim, a woman, we don't know where she's being cared for, but she was had the worst. She was in critical condition earlier this morning, and right now we've been told by police that she's doing better at this hour right now. We do know that some of the victims were taken to St. Vincent as well as Children's Hospital, and I've been calling those 2 hospitals there, trying to figure out exactly how many victims have been seen there and have been cared for. As soon as I get the information, I'll let you know, but send it back to you in the studio right now.
And thank you for that. We have Governor Asa Hutchinson, who is on the line to talk about what happened in the wee morning hours while we were all sleeping. There was a shooting at Power Ultra Lounge, 17 people shot by bullets. Governor Asa Hutchinson, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Well, Donna, good morning to you, and such a tragic event overnight. And we're all praying for those that have been impacted by this, the victims and their families. But we're also looking at the larger picture of the community where we live. And this is just totally unacceptable that this kind of violence is impacting our community. It's really time that we bear additional resources to fight this kind of violence. I just spoke with Colonel Bryant with the Arkansas State Police. I intend to be speaking with the mayor later today and to see what additional resources that we can bring. The state is willing to participate as needed. Obviously, this is when you look at gang-related violence, whenever you look at the shootings that are occurring here in our capital city, we just got to get stronger and tougher, and we've got to get a handle on this, and we're willing to participate to the extent that that's can be coordinated. So this is something that has to be addressed from a comprehensive standpoint. It can be done, and it's got to be done.
Governor Asa Hutchinson joining us now. Governor Aaron Nolan here. I guess the first question I have for you is, what was your emotion this morning when you heard that in the capital city, in the heart of downtown Little Rock, 17 people were shot?
My reaction is that way too far, that people do not go to an event, no matter what kind of event it is, in the capital city, expecting this kind of violence. This is the kind of thing that you hear that's related to a terrorist attack, that's related to things that happen in Florida and other cities, not in our hometown. And, of course, you can't go very far in Little Rock without knowing somebody that's been impacted by violence in some way over the last year or so. And you just start hurting for the families, the people that just want to go about their business and work and enjoy this incredible state. And you don't want to have this interfering with the incredible lifestyle and community that we have. And this is a very serious concern, and we all have to take a step back and look at this anew. I'm a former federal prosecutor, and so I understand that you've got to get bad people off the street. And if, we don't find out the facts of this as to whether you've got people from out of the area coming in, whether you've got people that are right here but clearly there's gangs that are operating here, and that takes a coordinated effort of law enforcement to identify the culprits. And you gotta lock them up, and you got to get them off the street. And so that's the approach that we need to take.
Hey, Governor Hutchinson, let me ask you this question. I was talking to Kathy Webb, the Vice Mayor of Little Rock, on air just a few minutes ago, and one of the things she said was she feels that the state legislature needs to revisit gun laws in the state. And I said to her, you know, I mean, that's a very sensitive issue when you start talking about guns and Second Amendment rights and that sort of thing. But do you think the state legislature needs to revisit that issue at all? Or is there any laws that our legislature can come up with to make guns less accessible, especially in terms of criminals getting their hands on them?
I don't think this is a matter of passing more laws. I think this is a matter of enforcing the laws that we have. I suspect that when the facts come out that you'll find some of these individuals that unlawfully possess the guns. They might have been stolen from a car. They might have might be a felon in possession of firearm. So this is an enforcement issue. We don't need to pass an additional law. We've got to crack down on those that have already broken the law, that are already misusing their rights, and that's the issue here. You know, I'm sure that there'll be legislative interest in what we need to do, but I have full confidence it ultimately comes down to a law enforcement issue. Bringing people together to arrest the culprits, make sure they're locked up, and make sure that those that pose a risk in the future are not available to do it. And that's, you know, to me, the legislature has to look at all of the enforcement package from a cost standpoint, but we have the laws in the books that we need to enforce.
Governor Asa Hutchinson joining us live talking about a mass shooting in Little Rock, 17 people shot. Governor Hutchinson, I can tell that you're very adamant, very passionate about this subject. Is this kind of, for you, the final straw? This is too much. We've gone too far when we're talking about gunplay here in the capital city.
Well, in some ways it is. In some ways I crossed that some time ago. I mean, it's been a constant source of irritation to the people of Little Rock and concern all over the state about you know, the deaths that occur, the drive-by shootings that occur, the youth that have lost their lives in this. And so I've always seen this as something that needs to be addressed very aggressively. And the mayor and the city officials feel the same way, but I think this means there's got to be a higher level of coordination, support for a serious enforcement effort in this. You know, this is still very early in this investigation. We've got to know the facts. So, but I mean, 17 is a number that grabs your attention and grabs your heart as well. And so there will be, you know, efforts that come out of this that I think you'll see is very coordinated. I think it will have a strong law enforcement aspect to it. And to me, it's a matter of getting bad guys off the streets, getting them locked up, identifying those, and that's what we've got to address.
And while we're talking with you, Governor, we're actually looking at video from last night when this happened. Police got the call around 2:30 this morning, and then and we're listening to the shots. You can probably hear them as you're on the phone. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30 shots were fired at the Power Ultra Lounge last night. You know, I know, and I certainly do believe that police are working very hard to try to get a handle on situations like this, as well as, you know, a number of drive-by shootings that have happened in the city of Little Rock over the last 10 days that we've reported on. My question to you is, How does the state work with the city, or is this, and we're discussing this in terms of laws and all of that, but is there money that the city needs? Is there something that the legislature or something that the state or something that you can do that can make the job for law enforcement a little more productive?
Well, you know, it's a combination of probably a number of those factors. You know, this is a city enforcement. You know, whether you're talking about Blytheville or Rogers or El Dorado, the first enforcement goes to the city law enforcement. But in many instances, the state police is called when they need expertise to back up investigations. In many instances, the FBI is called in if there's a federal jurisdiction. And that's whenever you have those different levels of investigative and enforcement resources, you've got to coordinate them. And I think that's the, and to bring in that assistance as needed. The Little Rock Police Department, they have significant resources. They're very capable, but you know, this is part of it is intelligence information. It is what you're gaining from interstate and efforts, actions that might be happening in larger cities that impact Little Rock, and this can come through other sources than just local police. So I'll be making some comments about this as time goes on as to some ideas that we can do to further support the enforcement's efforts here in Little Rock. But I don't want to get ahead of the investigation. I certainly want to talk to the mayor and local officials, but clearly we stand ready as a state to offer additional support for this incredible circumstance and tragedy that we have before us today.
Governor Asa Hutchinson joining us live here on both Fox 16 and KRK4 News. Governor, before you go, I want to ask you your message to those that were injured, the 17 shot or the others that may have been trampled, their loved ones, their family. What would your message be to those who were at that club last night?
My message is that we as a community are beside them. We understand the heartache. Our prayers are with them, but also this will not pass into the night quietly. We know that what they want is answers. They will want a strong response from the law enforcement community to find the answers here and make sure this terrible tragedy doesn't happen again. And they have my commitment that we will stand with the city as we address this problem together.
All right. Governor Asa Hutchinson, thank you for taking the time to talk about what has been a very, very disturbing story that we've had to report on this morning, with 17 people shot in a nightclub in downtown Little Rock. I do have an update, though, on conditions. At St. Vincent, they took in 3 of the 17 victims. Right now, 2 are in stable condition. 1 is in critical. Jonathan Roselle told us that at UAMS, 9 shooting victims are there. And Mark Lohman with Baptist Health says 3 of the club victims were taken to their North Little Rock Hospital and 6 were taken to Little Rock. 3 of the people have been released. The amazing thing, and when we look and listen to that video, it's amazing to me. Yeah. That no one was killed, and thank God no one was killed. But once again, we're going to let you listen in. Listen.
We've got several folks who are watching, not only here in the state of Arkansas. This is being broadcast on Facebook Live as well on both KRK and Fox 16's Facebook pages. So a lot of people are watching. I had somebody tweet me who took the time to count those shots. He counted 32. 32 shots fired, 17 people injured, and at this time, you're telling me that only one are critical. I think you're right.
That's what I have. Now, I don't know if it's just one critical, because out of those 9 at UAMS, I'm not sure. But we know that one is in critical.
That is a blessing in what is a horrific situation. Jonathan Roselle has been following what is happening with those victims. He joins us now live at UAMS. Jonathan Roselle, any new information from the 9 that you are telling us are there behind you at UAMS in Little Rock?
And Donna and Aaron, I've actually just got the phone with the UAMS officials. They tell me they actually care for 11 patients who were at the nightclub this morning during that shooting there. They say that 11 were treated. Most have been released. None of their injuries were life-threatening. Again, Baptist Hospital officials tell me that 3 were taken to their North Little Rock location, 6 to their Little Rock location. 3 of those 6 have been released. And again, St. Vincent saying 3 taken there. I've talked to Little Rock Police about those numbers there. Again, these are numbers that they say can go up and down as the day goes on. They say that some of these people who are injured, who are checking into these hospitals, have jumped out the windows to escape. They heard these gunshots and were fearing for their lives, so they tried any way they could to get out of harm's way again. So again, these numbers we're hearing could be shooting victims as well as others who were trampled, hurt any other kind of way, really trying to get out the club to get to safety here. Again, those numbers will go up and down. We do know that right now Little Rock Police are saying that no one, thank goodness, has died from any of these shootings here that we have right now. We know that one woman this morning was in critical condition, and they tweeted out about a few hours ago that woman's health is doing better at this point. We don't know exactly how she's doing, but they say that she's doing better at this point. So again, these are numbers that will go up and go down as the day goes on, as more people come out and say, hey, I was injured, this is what happened in this club here. I'll work to get more information for you, but for now I'll send it back to studio.
Okay, we appreciate you. You're doing a good job trying to get us information. We do know one person is in critical condition at St. Vincent. 2 others are in stable condition. One of the things, Price McKeon, who is at the location at Power Ultra Lounge, she was talking about the windows being broken, and you know, one of the assumptions you make when you know that there's been gunfire on the 2nd floor is that, well, it was gunshots. We just found out through Jonathan that there were people jumping out of the windows, which could very well be the reason why those windows are broken. And you can only imagine, I mean, just look at that building. It's the building with the awnings in the background. That's the 2nd floor where you see the red colored, it's kind of a red and white awning. It's the 2nd floor. That is where this was located. Those windows are broken. And from what I'm understanding, based on what the information that Jonathan Roselle just gave us, people were jumping out of those windows trying to escape the gunfire. We also heard through Marcus Eubanks, one of our photographers who's also working this morning trying to get information for us, that one of the people on stage was shot in the back. Police have confirmed that the 17 victims that we're telling you about, all 17 of those people were shot. Where on their bodies? I just told you one person shot in the back. We do know as well that some people were trampled as people were trying to get out of the facility. Again, the group that was there last night was a group called Finesse 2 Times. That's a rap group out of Memphis, Tennessee. Some authorities have been able to tell us, this is a picture, one of their posters promoting last night's event, Finesse 2 Times. You see the person there, who I don't know who that person is. I would be assuming if that's the namesake, but you see that person there holding a gun. And I just make that comment and let you decide from that. We've had people say, you know, those were folks that were out just wanting to enjoy the city, just wanting to have a night out and not deal with this kind of crime. We also want you to know that tonight between 5 and 6 o'clock, we're going to have a 1-hour special report on this shooting incident that took place overnight, and we will be carrying the 3 o'clock news conference live. So again, from 5 to 6 tonight, a special report which will be live from right here in our studio. And that news conference that starts this afternoon, we're told it will start at 3 o'clock. Sometimes they will give us a time and it'll be a different time, but we will be carrying that news conference live. Aaron.
Yeah, both stations are going to be carrying that, Fox 16 and KARK, as we are joining forces on what is a mass shooting 17 people shot at this club right here, Power Ultra Lounge, right in the heart of downtown Little Rock. You can see this is Broadway running this way, Interstate 30 here, the River Market in this location, Power Ultra Lounge right in the middle of it all. Here is the bird's eye view of that club. You can see, Donna, as you were just reporting, as we kind of zoom in, let's kind of walk through what we were seeing here. You can see the windows there, Donna. Those are the windows that were broken. If we can go down to street level, Alan, here we go. All right, hold it right there for just a second. Okay, those windows to the top right corner of your screen are broken. What you're telling me is that we have had reporters who can say that people were jumping out of those windows, possibly hitting that red awning you see there to get to safety. We're talking the upwards of 30 shots fired in this situation, 17 hitting people, 17 people shot. But again, this is the street look. You can look exactly at what we've kind of been talking about through all of this. A lot of information coming out. We're going to continue to comb through this information. Again, this happening about 2:30 this morning. We do have a statement from Attorney General Leslie Rutledge. My thoughts and prayers are with all 17 victims who were injured overnight at the Power Ultra Lounge in Little Rock. I am grateful for the first responders who saved multiple lives. That statement continues. We're going to have that statement on our social media pages. And right now, Donna, as we continue to get that information, social media becomes invaluable. We have so much information on our social media pages, including quotes from the governor who was just live on our air, on the phone talking to us. And Donna, this one strikes me, and this is one I think that we all need to continue to look at as we talk about the Little Rock mass shooting that 17 people were injured in. Asa Hutchinson telling us, quote, "This will not pass into the night quietly," meaning the governor of Arkansas has recognized what's happening here when it comes to gunplay, when it comes to gun violence, and he's dedicated. I heard the emotion in his voice, Don. I know you did as well. He is dedicated to finding an end, to finding a solution to the violence we've seen in our communities.
Yeah, the top men in the state dedicated to it, as well as so many city officials who are also trying to put an end to this violence, as well as a lot of community leaders who are trying to do the same thing. Our Victory Over Violence initiative between Fox 16 and KARK also trying to put an end to the violence that keeps happening around here. Our photojournalist Marcus Eubanks, he spoke to a friend of a victim at Baptist Hospital, and we're told his friend is in surgery right now. Listen.
So, Justin, we're here at Baptist Hospital, and from, I guess, all intents and purposes, you had a friend that was involved or was hurt in last night's mass shooting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anthony Fontenot, he got shot in the back. And he a good dude, so it's just sad to hear something like that happen to a good person like that. Right. Something need to change.
Right. Now, as far as it concerns the situation, what do you know about what happened last night?
Well, I just heard it was an altercation in the club between a group of people, and shots just got fired, and everybody just took off running, and he got shot in the back running. Right. He wanted me to go, but I told him, you know, I ain't got time for that. So I stayed at the house and woke up to this.
Why were you apprehensive about actually even going out to the club last night?
Because it's just always some stuff going on, some extra stuff going on. So I'd just rather not.
Right. Now, what can you tell us about Anthony in there, the one that's your friend that's in surgery?
Anthony is the most coolest, the most realest, my realest friend I got. Like, he just the most coolest dude. Like, he come through with anything for you. Like, he treat me like a real brother. Like, we like brothers. I've been knowing him all my life.
How old is he?
22, 23.
Okay. And you say he was at the show on the stage?
Yeah, yes, sir. He turned up. He wanted me to go. That's what I'm saying. He was like, I'll pay away all of that. He cool. Like, I was like, nah, I ain't messing with Little Rock.
Right. Are you from Little Rock?
No, I'm from Conway.
Okay. So, were you apprehensive about going to the show because of the violence that has been happening here recently?
Yes, sir. People have been getting shot every day. So why put yourself in that situation?
Now, what time did you find out, and how did you find out about him getting shot?
My sister was calling me. I had like 10 missed calls when I woke up. She said she came to the house to check on me because she thought I was with him, but I decided to stay at the house. And then people telling me he got shot, and I had to figure out what was going on.
So have you tried to go in and see him or anything?
They wouldn't let us go in and see him. He went into surgery.
And that is from a young man who is connected to Anthony. Anthony, who was on the stage at Power Ultra Lounge last night, who was shot in the back. He was trying to run away. He said that there was an altercation between two groups, and that's when gunfire erupted. And the young man that is a friend of Anthony said he didn't want to go. The young man there from Conway, I didn't get his name. He said he didn't want to go out because he says there's always some stuff going on. Anthony, who's 22 to 23 years old, somewhere in there. But definitely, I can't agree with that young man from Conway more when he said something needs to change. That is for sure. Congressman French Hill released a statement also. I don't know if we have a graphic for it, but I do have the information in front of me. I think it's okay for me to read it. This from Congressman French Hill. My thoughts and prayers are with the victims of this morning's senseless act of violence. I am confident in the ability of our seasoned police officers in Little Rock to bring the suspects or suspect to justice. I have reached out to Little Rock Police Chief Kenton Buckner to offer any assistance he may need from my office. I also thank our first responders, doctors, and hospital staff for their treatment of those wounded. Members of our community are strong and resilient, and it's when we work together that we can find solutions to overcome this kind of violence. That again from Congressman French Hill.
Yeah, we're starting to see our Washington delegation, if you will, those who are in Washington here from Arkansas respond. You heard from Representative French Hill. This is Senator John Boozman. Very short, very succinct, to the point, praying for the victims of violence in Little Rock. And want to focus a little bit on social media because this is the place where we get so much information, and we're bringing that to you as we get it. So make sure you go and follow Fox 16 and KARK. All of our reporters are tweeting out the information as it becomes available. We have heard from the governor. We have heard from the attorney general. We have heard from the lieutenant governor. We have heard from senators. We have heard from representatives. But for me, again, I know we just talked about this, but I do want to point this out again. Governor Asa Hutchinson telling us, quote, "This will not pass into the night quietly." He is adamant about taking a look at what is going on in our city. If you are just joining us, almost 9:30 right now, going to kind of walk through what is happening, what has happened. 17 people were shot at a club inside Little Rock. This is a location where it happened. It is 220 West 6th Street, so 220 West 6th Street, right in the heart of downtown Little Rock. Taking a look right now at the bird's eye view of this club, the Power Ultra Lounge. Now, Chief Kenton Buckner was on the scene very shortly after the shooting happened. The call came in about 2:30. Here is Chief Kenton Buckner talking about a mass shooting in the capital city.
On today's date, at approximately 2:30 a.m. at 220 West 6th Street at a club either formerly known or still known as the Power Lounge. There was a concert held here today. Preliminary information has a group from Memphis that was performing at this location. Some sort of dispute broke out between individuals that were inside. An exchange of gunfire took place. We believe that the latest number has approximately 17 individuals that were injured as a result of the gunfire. Also, other individuals were injured, either being trampled or trying to exit the location. The youngest individual being age 16. All of that is preliminary information. We do not believe that this was an act of terror, nor do we believe it was an active shooter situation. The injured individuals are at our area hospitals, primarily 3 locations and possibly 1 hospital in North Little Rock. At this time, we're still very early in our investigation and gathering information, talking to witnesses, the promoters. At one point, we believe that they did have off-duty police working at the location. It is unclear at this time if they were there at the time of the actual incident when it occurred. Again, there were multiple individuals that were injured. The condition of those individuals right now, we believe that one is in critical condition. The others appear to be non-life-threatening, but all of that's based upon preliminary information.
Are you expecting any more victims to show up at hospitals?
Well, we don't know. Obviously, with the time that it currently is, if they were out there, they probably would be at the hospitals by now. But that certainly could happen.
I just want to reiterate, you said 17 people were injured by gunfire or gunfire and exiting the club?
We believe 17 individuals were injured by gunfire, one of which appears to be critical.
Do we think we have multiple suspects?
It's too early to know that, but based upon the number of individuals that were injured, I would say that it probably would be multiple shooting suspects.
Any description of a vehicle, any information about who?
It's still too early for that kind of information. We'll still have our detectives at the hospitals at this location talking to individuals, trying to gather that kind of intimate information about the possible suspects.
That's a lot of victims. How many hospitals are we talking about that they're going to? They're going everywhere?
We believe that there's 3 to 4 hospitals that these individuals are currently located at in the central Arkansas area.
Is this characterized as a mass shooting here in Little Rock?
I would call it a multiple shooting. Some people would call it a mass shooting. Too many people shot. I mean, 1 is too many. 17 is certainly alarming and very, very disturbing.
Do we have any idea how many people were injured by the exiting of the club?
We do not have that information. We're still gathering that with our detectives at our area hospitals.
What would your message be as chief to people during this time right now when we just reported nearly 10 drive-bys in 8 days and now this gunfire here in downtown? What is your message to people?
Well, certainly during incidents such as this, emotions are very high. I think we need to be very careful with our words. This is, I guess, a blip on the map that we certainly didn't need, considering the history that we've had over the past week. We've put out warrants for a couple of individuals that we believe are responsible for some of those shootings. So at a time when you feel like that you had some momentum to get some of the individuals responsible for those shootings, we had this incident happen. But because we're still very early into this incident, we want to kind of just reserve our any further statements about that until we know more about the situation.
So no connections at this point?
It's too early to know that. It's too early to know that.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief.
And that is Police Chief Kenton Buckner, who was speaking to us early this morning around the time that the shooting happened. It happened in the wee morning hours around 2. They got a call just before 2:30 this morning that there had been a shooting at Power Ultra Lounge. To put this in some perspective, because some of you have actually been there, this is the old Lulav restaurant on 6th Street. Some of you may recognize that name. It was called Lulav, and a lot of people would go there and have dinner. It is now Power Ultra Lounge, and the upstairs area is a nightclub, and they typically have events there and bring in different groups and have parties and that sort of thing. Last night, a group called Finesse 2 Times, yes, Finesse 2 Times, was performing. That's a rap group out of Memphis, Tennessee. And what we've been told is through several sources here, this is the flyer that they sent out promoting the event for Finesse 2 Times. And what we were told is this could very well have been a shooting between 2 groups out of Memphis. That particular group there, that rap group, is out of Memphis. And so there may have been some rival groups out of Memphis. We're going to get more details for you as they come in. There will be a 3 o'clock news conference where we will certainly be able to get much more information.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Information is still flooding in. We have reporters stationed all across this city, from hospitals to the location where the shooting happened. Jonathan Roselle is at UAMS. He just tweeted out that of all the victims there at that hospital, none are life-threatening. So that is good news. Price McKeon is live at the scene. I believe we have Price live. Price, we have been covering this story now for 2.5 hours. Again, it happened about 2:30 this morning. We're going to check in with Price in just a few minutes. If you're waking up, there was a mass shooting last night in Little Rock. 17 people were shot. This is video from inside the club at the time of the shooting. I want you to listen. We counted between 20 and 30 shots. Someone on Twitter counted for us and said he heard 32 shots. Dozens of shots were fired. 17 people were shot. Several others injured as the commotion continued outside the club. Going to show you exactly where that club is. Donna had talked about on 16th Street. Here's kind of an overview, if you will, the map view. Power Ultra Lounge right in the middle of Broadway and Interstate 30. Now, if you take a look at the bird's eye view, you can see the buildings themselves, kind of get an understanding of where this is. So let's switch over to the satellite view. You know, again, this is Capitol running a block away. Capitol, again, runs right through to the state capitol into Interstate 30. So this is right in the heart of downtown Little Rock, as 17 people were shot. Do want to point out at this time, Little Rock police have ruled out terrorism. This is not a terror attack. This is a mass shooting that was here domestically. We have been told that this was between a rival group from Memphis, maybe both of the groups from Memphis. We believe, hearing the sound, that this could have been two guns that were shot. We do not know the direction they shot, if they were shot at each other, if these were two guns shot at someone else. We don't know. A lot of things going on. Our governor took time to talk to us right here on this telecast that's being broadcast both on KARK4 and Fox 16. And Governor Asa Hutchinson was very adamant about finding an end to the violence that we've seen here in the capital city in Central Arkansas. Here's our governor, Asa Hutchinson.
We're all praying for those that have been impacted by this, the victims and their families, but we're also looking at the larger picture of the community where we live, and this is just totally unacceptable that this kind of violence is impacting our community. It's really time that we bear additional resources to fight this kind of violence. I just spoke with Colonel Bryant with the Arkansas State Police. I intend to be speaking with the mayor later today and to see what additional resources that we can bring. The state is willing to participate as needed. Obviously, this is, when you look at gang-related violence, whenever you look at the shootings that are occurring here in our capital city, we just got to get stronger and tougher, and we've got to get a handle on this, and we're willing to participate to the extent that that's can be coordinated. So this is something that has to be addressed from a comprehensive standpoint. It can be done, and it's got to be done.
And that's Governor Asa Hutchinson speaking to us just moments ago about this shooting at Power Ultra Lounge that happened in the early morning hours, probably while many of you were asleep. Just to update you on the 17 people who were shot as random bullets were flying. 3 of those people were taken to the North Little Rock Baptist Hospital, 6 to the Little Rock Baptist Hospital. We're told at St. Vincent, 3 were taken there. 1 person we've been given an update on. That person is in critical. 2 others are stable condition. And 11 other people were taken to UAMS. And that is where Fox 16 and KARK's Jonathan Roselle is. Jonathan, we're hoping you have some information or updates on the conditions of some of these 11 people.
You know, Donna, I've been talking to UMS officials all morning long. Right now, they can't give me the exact conditions, exact injuries. These 11 individuals from last night's shooting, or for this morning's shooting, were treated for here. But we do know, and they do say that majority of those individuals have been let go. They say that their injuries and wounds are not life-threatening. That's good news there. Right now, again, we're talking about witnesses all morning long. One of those witnesses, my nephew, who was outside the club when all this kind of happened. He said he heard about 20 gunshots or so. He turned around very quickly to see several people running out of the club there, several of his friends there, very frantic, didn't know exactly what was going on there. Again, he's just really frantic, very saddened about this entire deal. I've been talking to Little Rock Police about this all day, really, about the numbers we've been giving all day. We hear 17 shot, and then as we call the hospitals, we hear even more people are being treated. They tell me that, look, the numbers aren't really important at this point right now. What about those shot at this point? They're saying that the numbers will go up. They may go up, they may go down. as the day goes on, as more people come out and say, look, I was there last night, I was injured. So they're just really thankful that no one was injured, seriously injured, actually died in these shootings here. Again, they say they'll give more information as the day goes on, and I'll bring you more as I get more information. Back to you, studio.
Hey, you know what, Jonathan, don't go away, because I want to talk about this, because I was adding up the numbers: 11 at UAMS, 3 at St. Vincent, 3 in North Little Rock at the Baptist Hospital there, 6 in Little Rock. I add up 23. Police did tell us, and granted, when police are getting this information early on, sometimes they don't always get it right, but this did come from Chief Buckner. He said 17 people were shot. Now, let's go back to the number of people that may have been trampled trying to get out of there. He did tell us that there were people who were hurt trying to escape the gunfire, and we also reported that some people were jumping out of the windows. Those people were hurt as well, which could certainly be why the numbers are higher than 17. And we're looking at Power Ultra Lounge. That is it. That is the former Lulav restaurant for some of you who have been there before. Upstairs, the second floor, people were jumping out of the windows, and they were landing where? On the pavement or on the awnings, you know. So, and Jonathan, you don't know this, but we're actually looking at the picture of it right now. Your nephew was outside of this establishment as the gunfire was going off, when people were trying to escape.
Yes.
What did he see? Was he able to tell you that he actually saw people jumping out of the windows?
He didn't describe that scene. He said he actually saw people get trampled. A lot of women who probably had on heels were trampled over and on. He described just how he really described it as mass chaos going on there. No one really knowing exactly what was going on inside the club as those inside the club tried to get out. I do know that he's just very frightened and very concerned about his friends, many of whom were injured by that gunfire, were injured by the trampoline, were also injured as they jumped out of the windows there trying to escape whatever was going on inside.
It's a very scary situation. One other thing I want to ask you, because I remember this might have been a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago now. I lose track of time, but you and a friend were actually going there. And I know many people go there for the entertainment aspect. What is that place like? Can you describe it?
You know, absolutely. All morning long, I've had people call me who frequent that club there, who are just surprised, stunned, because this isn't the norm there. This is a club that's known to be very relaxing. People come there and to enjoy music of all sorts, from all genres, really, from country to hip hop there. So this is really hitting them by surprise here. I know when I was there, it was very relaxing, no concerns for my safety whatsoever, because it was just that type of environment. It's very calm, relaxed environment there. And to hear that this happened this morning, as it's taken a lot of people by surprise and really stunned here.
From country music to hip hop is what you just said. So they have they obviously attract a lot of different types of people, a lot of different types of music. So last night, Finesse Two Times obviously attracted a certain crowd, one would say, or at least that crowd wanted to be there to hear that music last night. Jonathan, thank you. Thank you for the update. Lots of very good information. Our Attorney General, Leslie Rutledge, she spoke with us earlier today. Here's what she had to say about this.
We have seen a number of shootings and outbreak of violent crime. And we need to, as community leaders, to address this sort of crime, to talk to these individuals about the value of human life, how we can have disagreements with one another without resulting to this sort of violence, and really come together as a community to address it.
Aaron, the value of human life.
Yeah.
The value of human life.
Well, and that's kind of the theme as we continue to kind of comb social media. Legislators, our governor, our lieutenant governor, our attorney general, all sounding off on this. And I think that's important to note that they're not shying away from what happened. As 17 people were shot in Little Rock, many others could have been injured from being trampled, jumping out of windows to avoid that gunfire. I'm going to pull up a few of these. Senator John Boozman praying for the victims of violence in Little Rock. Governor Hutchinson telling us This will not pass quietly into the night. Leslie Rutledge, my prayers are with all 17 victims who were injured. All of these are there. And one thing that Attorney General Rutledge says here is she's grateful for the first responders. We mentioned this probably about an hour and a half ago, Donna. This is something that I think is huge in this situation, was the fact that the first responders were able to get there. Police were there relatively quickly, and all of them worked together. And at this point, we have no fatalities when we're talking about 32 possibly shots fired inside a nightclub. That's not a huge area, Donna. I know you've been in there. This club is not huge, and when you hear 32 shots, you would assume that there would be fatalities, but there were not in this case at this point. So definitely that is good news, especially because our first responders were there to help out. Let's take a look at where this club is located. This is a look at downtown Little Rock. Right in the middle of downtown Little Rock, if you're looking at Broadway here, Interstate 30 here, at the top of your screen, that's where the River Market is. Right in the middle of all of that is Power Ultra Lounge. It's located at 220 West 6th Street. So again, this location is one that is centrally located when we're talking about the capital city, when we're talking about that downtown area. Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin was on our show on this broadcast just a few minutes ago, and he talked about how these people at this club didn't know what they were walking into. And that's something else that I think is really tragic about all of this, Donna, is that these people were walking into this location. You can take a look at the bird's eye view of this. They were walking in here for relaxation. They were walking into this club to enjoy a concert and, yeah,
to have a good
time.
Yeah, and that is the heartbreaking thing about it. And we even have a reporter here who was invited. She was invited to go. She was downtown. She was having fun with her friends, and they invited her, and she just made the decision not to go last night. A very good decision, by the way. There will be a prayer vigil tonight at 8:15 at City Hall. You are all invited, and you're asked to bring candles. Victory over violence. Victory over violence. We can't say victory over violence enough, because we need victory. We got to get victory over violence. There is a 3 o'clock news conference today. We will be carrying that live on both Fox 16 and KARK. And we will have a special on this event, on this situation, incident, on this sadness, if you will, from 5 to 6 tonight on both Fox 16 and KARK. Photojournalist Marcus Eubanks, he spoke to a friend of a victim who's at Baptist Hospital. That victim's name is Anthony. We're told Anthony is in surgery as we speak. Anthony was shot in the back last night, running, trying to get away from the gunfire. Listen.
So, Justin, we're here at Baptist Hospital, and from, I guess, all intents and purposes, you had a friend that was involved or was hurt in last night's mass shooting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anthony Fontenot, he got shot in the back. And he a good dude, so it's just sad to hear something like that happen to a good person like that. Right. Something need to change.
Right. Now, as far as it concerns the situation, what do you know about what happened last night?
Well, I just heard it was an altercation in the club between a group of people, and shots just got fired, and everybody just took off running. And he got shot in the back running. Right. He wanted me to go, but I told him, you know, I ain't got time for that. So I stayed at the house and woke up to this.
Why were you apprehensive about actually even going out to the club last night?
Because it's just always some stuff going on, some extra stuff going on. So I'd just rather not.
Right. Now, what can you tell us about Anthony in there, the one that's your friend that's in surgery?
Anthony is the most coolest, the most realest, my realest friend I got. Like, he just the most coolest dude. Like, he come through with anything for you. Like, he treat me like a real brother. Like, we was like brothers. I've been knowing him all my life.
How old is he?
22, 23.
Okay. And you say he was at the show on the stage?
Yeah, yes, sir. He turned up. He wanted me to go. That's what I'm saying. He was like, I'll pay away all of that. He cool. Like, I was like, nah, I ain't messing with Little Rock.
Right. Are you from Little Rock?
No, I'm from Conway.
Okay. So, were you apprehensive about going to the show because of the violence that has been happening here recently?
Yes, sir. People have been getting shot every day, so why put yourself in that situation?
Now, what time did you find out, and how did you find out about him getting shot?
My sister was calling me. I had like 10 missed calls when I woke up. She said she came to the house to check on me because she thought I was with him, but I decided to stay at the house. And then people telling me he got shot, and I had to figure out what was going on.
So, have you tried to go in and see him or anything?
They wouldn't let us go in and see him. He went into surgery.
And there you have it. That young man is talking about his friend Anthony, who was shot in the back, who was on the stage. It's still not clear if he was part of the entertainment, but he was on the stage, and when the gunfire broke out, he tried to get out of there, ended up being shot in the back. He's in surgery right now.
All right, so you're taking a look from the scene when we got there. Let's kind of update you, give you the nuts and bolts, if you will, the beginning of this story. About 2:30 this morning, police were called to 220 West 6th Street.
Yes.
This is a location where a nightclub is. There was a shooting inside that nightclub. Here is the video, and I want you to listen to the amount of shots that were fired. Between 20 and 30 shots fired. Little Rock police tell us 17 people were injured.
And you know, and you and I, we have listened and watched that video over and over again. We have been able to determine, we're not experts at this obviously, but I think it's crystal clear that there was more than one gun involved. Many people tried to get out of there. 17 people actually shot by gunfire, according to our police chief. But some people were hurt as they were trying to get out of the building. We're told many people were trampled, and we were told that some people actually jumped out of the second-story windows. It appears from the information that we're getting, somewhere in the neighborhood of 23 to 25 people are hospitalized. Some of those have been released, but were taken to the hospital, some with gunshot wounds, some with other types of wounds. The youngest person who was in there last night who was actually injured by the gunfire, 16 years old, in a nightclub, 2:30 in the morning. That was the youngest person.
We are calling this a mass shooting, and we have been told this is not an act of terrorism. I think that's very important right now to
in
not
this
get.
Day and age.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you think. When you hear 17 people shot, you think terror. This was not an act of terrorism. From what we've been told from your sources, from state officials, from city officials, this was a rival group in Memphis. Maybe, two different groups in Memphis. We're not 100% sure that's how the shooting happened. A lot of state representatives, a lot of state officials, city officials have talked to us, including the governor of Arkansas.
Yeah, in fact, we had a nice conversation with the governor this morning, and certainly he is very disturbed by this. I even noticed on social media someone who actually heard the interview said you could tell that he was emotional about it. Let's hear what some of what the governor had to say a little while ago.
We're all praying for those that have been impacted by this, the victims and their families, but we're also looking at the larger picture of the community where we live, and this is just totally unacceptable that this kind of violence is impacting our community. It's really time that we bear additional resources to fight this kind of violence. I just spoke with Colonel Bryant with the Arkansas State Police. I intend to be speaking with the mayor later today and to see what additional resources that we can bring. The state is willing to participate as needed. Obviously, this is, when you look at gang-related violence, whenever you look at the shootings that are occurring here in our capital city, we just got to get stronger and tougher, and we've got to get a handle on this, and we're willing to participate to the extent that that's can be coordinated. So this is something that has to be addressed from a comprehensive standpoint. It can be done, and it's got to be done.
Asa Hutchinson talking about 17 people shot in the capital city. Wrapping up what he said, and Donna, you mentioned it, you can hear the emotion in his voice. He is upset about this. He is sickened by this. He also told us, to the victims of the mass shooting, this will not pass into the night quietly. I think he is dedicated to finding an end and finding victory over violence.
A lot of people would really appreciate that. Including our mayor of Little Rock, Mayor Mark Stodola. We spoke with him earlier today.
We've got detectives, we got police officers working all the time trying to figure out how we can interrupt this cycle of totally unacceptable conduct. And so whether it's working at from a standpoint of youth activities that we spend millions of dollars on trying to prevent these kinds of things from happening, or whether it's putting street people who've been in trouble before, who understand the consequence of it, and having them talk to young people about the fact that this is not the road they want to go down. We are working it just multifaceted ways. I'm working on trying to lay out for the public here shortly all of the various kinds of things that the city is doing to try and stop the violence.
Well, you know, Mayor, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but some of these things I am aware of. I know you've hired some people who, one of whom had been in prison for 30-something years, familiar with gangs, who's trying to do a little outreach to get the gang members to put down their guns. We also reported a few weeks ago that 2 suspects who were taken off the street, who were involved in the little Ramiah Reed killing, that would supposedly put an end to some of the gun violence. But I'll be honest with you, and this is as a reporter here that reports on this day in and day out, it seems to me that the gun violence has escalated instead of going down.
Well, we're doing everything we can. You know, I'm hopeful. We had about 3 weeks there or so where it seemed that things were subsiding. Again, you're right. The drive-bys this last 10 days have seemed to go up, and I wish I could stop speeding bullets. I really do. I wish other people could do that. We've got to have the community come forward to help us investigate and solve these crimes, and it's a collective community effort, and we have to continue to work very, very hard on it, which is what we're doing.
And there you have it, Mayor Mark Stodola talking about what happened tonight at Power Ultra Lounge, or I should say what happened in the wee morning hours at Power Ultra Lounge, a club in the downtown Little Rock area on 6th Street. 17 people were shot, gunfire erupted. There was a rap group there called Finesse 2 Times that was performing, a group out of Memphis, Tennessee performing. And at some point, this event was supposed to happen from, what was it, from 9 until
10 to 2
from 10 until 2,
schedule.
but it was around 2:30 when police got the call. This is the flyer that went out promoting this group, Finesse 2 Times, and as you can see there, he's holding a gun, and that's kind of how the night ended, in gunfire with roughly 30 shots fired. We want to show you the video again and let you hear the gunfire, because every time I hear this, the hairs on my neck stick up.
Today you heard several gunshots. Between 20 and 30 is what we counted. Definitely a situation that you don't want to hear in Little Rock, Arkansas. 17 people shot. Many others gone to the hospital. We're going to continue to follow this story. This is one that we're going to stay with. It's going to include tonight. We've got a special report from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock tonight. Coverage of a news conference is live this afternoon. It's going to happen around 3 o'clock. Here's our special report. Plus, there's a prayer vigil downtown at 8:15 tonight. We're also going to be at that. We are dedicated to finding victory over violence as the Little Rock mass shooting has impacted us all. We will continue our coverage as 17 people shot downtown Little Rock.
And that prayer vigil at 8:15 that you mentioned is at City Hall, and they're requesting that you bring your candles. I think I can speak on behalf of both of us that We're sorry that this is the information you have to wake up to this morning, but hopefully we will get a grip on violence. So long, everybody.
This has been breaking news coverage from the combined newsrooms of KARK4 and Fox 16. We now return to your regularly scheduled program.